is, how do you get vitality? How do you get this vitality that will influence how people perceive you? That will increase your power in life, make you be successful. You ever see somebody who has this vitality? They command the presence in such a different way. Their voice, their body, their communication. Everything's communication. People talk about most communication is nonverbal. So imagine a person who's very powerful, and imagine how they talk. Imagine their cadence. Imagine the depth of their voice. Imagine the conviction in their voice. Imagine how they make you feel. Don't you want to be like that? Everybody wants to be like that. So we're going to answer the question, how do you have that vitality? How do you get back that vitality? Where you wake up in the morning, you like your life. You like what you're doing. You have an energy, like a breakthrough energy. Kind of like, imagine your heroes. Imagine your heroes. They have a charisma. They have some kind of energy to them. Whether they're superheroes or fictional or real life. Growing up, I had a lot of different heroes. I had heroes that were fictional, like the Jedis. I always loved the Jedis. But when you think of your heroes, they almost always have this vitality. You're not going to have a hero who doesn't have vitality. And I always wondered this because, everybody goes through their phases in life. You have the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So I'll tell you, like for example, today, I'm feeling all right, feeling good. You can probably tell. But there was a stage in my life where I felt really good, really good. You can probably go back there. For me, it was in college. Everything was just wonderful. You're 18, 19, 20, 21. Your energy is there. You always go to the gym. You're the strongest that you've ever been. You got friends all around you. You're learning. The world hasn't really smacked you around yet. You don't really have an idea of how hard the world is. The sky is the limit. You're full of potential. You're full of hope. You're full of dreams. And you have girlfriends. You have friends around you all day. You're social. There's parties happening. Life is just beautiful. And back then, health is just so easy, right? You remember? You can do anything. You can eat anything. You get away with everything. You don't gain fat. You're lean. You're muscular. You're energized. You're having fun. It's completely different. It's a completely different life that you have. And so that was the best time of my life. That was absolutely beautiful. And you didn't have to worry about, what you ate or how tired you would get after eating. It was completely different. And then I kept on going. I graduated, but sometimes life gets messy. We're gonna make some, let's see, I got kale, I got green peas. I think that's what we're gonna do today. Peppers, we got some peppers. Yeah, we've been doing this. This has been the winter. This has been the winter. So what happened was, life was sunshine and rainbows for such a long time. But when I graduated, life kind of smacked me around. That's when, shit started to hit the fan. I took a night shift job just because it was making more money than my other job. So I was working night shifts. And my health just started to deteriorate. And, I didn't really understand the mechanics of true health. When you're young, you kind of just feel invincible. And my mind started to become more and more negative. And within 6 months, I felt like a completely different person. I didn't have that vitality at all. Like, it was all gone. And I still remember waking up one night and I just felt miserable. I was 23. I really had nothing going for me. Me and my girlfriend, who were together for 6 years, we broke up. Okay? So I didn't have a career. I was kind of disillusioned. I didn't want to go $200,000 into debt to be a chiropractor. And so that was off the table. I really wanted to do something like that, but I didn't have the money. I just felt like it was a scam. I didn't want to buy into that scam. But I didn't know what else to do. So there I was. I was working this horrible night shift job, which questionably was worse than even being unemployed, right? Because you're trading your health. It doesn't matter if you get a little bit of money. Trading your health away just ruins your life. You know, you look at the statistics of what happens to people who do night shifts, they die early. They die so early. They have mental health problems. They have relationship problems. It's just not, human being is not meant to be sleep deprived. And when you're sleep deprived, it really hits you. So at that point, I kind of lingered around there. I didn't know what to do, but I didn't have the influence I wanted in my life. I didn't have the influence I wanted over myself. You know, I woke up, I was depressed. I was 23, and I just put my hands on my face, and I just said, I can't believe that this is my life. Like, is this it? Like, is there a way out of this? Because when you have so little energy, when you have so little confidence, when you have so little vitality, it's kind of like you're in this negative spiral. And a couple times in life, I found myself in that negative spiral, and you don't know what to do. If you don't have mentors or a counselor or a big brother to kind of like smack you around, tell you what to do, get you out of that hole, that's a scary place to be. That is definitely a scary place to be. How many people know what that's like to be in that place where you just feel kind of lost, kind of abandoned, kind of weak, very, very weak? And when you're in that place, it's kind of hard to build momentum too. It's like, what do? Your brain isn't really working correctly. Your body isn't giving you the energy. You kind of get discouraged more easily. And mind you, I was still doing my best to still exercise and eat right. You know, I wasn't chugging the monsters. I wasn't eating junk food. I wasn't eating fast food. I was still taking moderate, decent care of myself. And so just imagine if you're in a place where you're kind of going down that negative spiral, that negative vortex, and you're eating unhealthy, and you're sleeping bad, and you're not exercising, and you're kind of lonely. You're kind of like a shut-in. You kind of just stick to yourself, because when you go out and you try to socialize or network, you kind of get this like negative feedback because your energy is just so grim. You kind of just feel like this negative hole. And so it's just easier to stay home and to entertain yourself with the creature comforts than to go out and make yourself vulnerable and to actually try to provide value for other people. And so that's another negative spiral that starts. And so you stop, your momentum in life stops. And you don't know what to do. And you can kind of tell a lot of people are in this similar stage. You can kind of tell when people are in this stage. You can see it in their body language. You can see it in their energy. You can see it in their aura. You can see it in how they think, how they articulate. And I was there, man. I was dragging my butt. For months, I was dragging my butt. And what do? I basically got some Kerrygold butter in there. Food of the gods. Amazing. You know, so many people think that butter is bad for you. That's propaganda. You know, you look at all the cultures that eat raw butter, grass-fed, dairy from the cows. You know, butter, grass-fed, doesn't have lactose and casein, okay? So butter is actually one of the healthiest things that you can do for your joints. It has the fat that lubricates your joints. The butyrate, good for your gut. I digress. So I'm in this place, this dark spiral. And thank God, at least I had positive influences. I found Napoleon Hill and Dale Carnegie. And so I started reading their material because, I needed some success. I needed a way out of the negative spiral that I was in. And so I was reading Napoleon Hill's book, The Law of Success. And God, I needed a way out. And I promised myself that same night where I just felt massively depressed, I just said, man, I'm an idiot. I am such an idiot. Look at me. So much potential. Look at what I've done. I just need wisdom. I'm just such an idiot. I just need wisdom. And so I started waking up, and the first thing I would do is read Napoleon Hill. I just go and read Think and Grow Rich, Law of Success. I still remember Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning. I started doing the 6 things outlined, getting a morning routine. I started building some positive momentum, and I decided I have to get out of this hellhole of a job. This is just killing me. And so I said, well, what can I do? I'm going to be a personal trainer. I got to get my certification. I got to get out of here. I got to get around people. I got to get a mentor. I have to get around coworkers who care. I have to get back into the lifestyle of actually pursuing health and well-being. And so I did. It took me probably a month or 2, but I did it. I was able to build up enough momentum, get my certificate, get out of that job. And right when I got out of that job, my health came back. Because, sleep matters. People are going to pretend like sleep is for the weak. People are going to pretend like, you can get away with having bad sleep or not enough sleep for a while. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. It's not true. Just, look at your biology. If you look at your biology, what does nature do? It commits a third of your life to sleep. And then people are going to try and make an argument that it's not important. How are you going to make an argument that it's not important? Nature, your body, biology, you can't argue with it. It's committing, it wants you to sleep 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a night. That's important. Yet people neglect it. And so when I neglected it, I got smacked around like you don't even expect that life can smack you around. And so once I got back on my life purpose, once I got my sleep back, once I got my social life back, I felt my vitality come back. I felt this charisma, this inspiration. In Indian culture, they call it the ojas, where you feel this alignment and this power coming from your mind, your body, your heart, your energy. And so I started actually feeling really good. And I learned so much that it isn't just physical, it isn't just the sleep. It's like, was my life aligned? Was I actually going after something that I believed in? Like, did I wake up in the morning and did I feel like, I care about what I do? See, because everybody knows that health has to do with your mindset. And everybody knows that what you're doing with your life has to do with how you think. And so do you have that, like Napoleon Hill said, that definite chief aim? Do you have the goals that actually motivate you? Do you understand what happens if you don't reach those goals? You might be 20, you might be 30, you might be 40. Well, what happens 5, 10 years later if you're still in the same spot? If you still haven't moved, if you're still stuck, if you still haven't made that change, if you still haven't integrated what it really means to be healthy. We're talking about if you didn't change your body, if you didn't change your health, if you didn't change your bad habits, if you didn't change your career, if you don't change your social circle, if you don't change the negativity in your life, if you don't change the negative associations that you have in your head, like, oh, I hate the gym, I hate working out, I hate these people, I hate my coworkers, I hate my job, I hate the world. What if that doesn't change for another 5, 10 years? Where are you going to be then? Right? So if you don't have the vitality, that's the question. How do we start getting the vitality? So that was the first time I really had to wonder about that in my life. Going from being a young adult to being an adult, actually having to understand, wow, I'm not invincible. Wow, my health can actually suffer. If I do the wrong things are going to happen. And I had to turn things around. And so things went pretty good for the next, I'd say, 6-7 years. I kept on that path. And that was the beginning of my professional career, and that was the beginning of me wanting to be self-employed. I never just wanted to only work for the man, even if I had a good team. I always wanted to create my own freedom. It's very important to me. And so I started doing private sessions, personal training, coaching, body work. I just wanted to understand how to impart vitality to other people. But, I went from having great energy and great vitality in college to having horrible vitality when I messed it up. And then, I had good. It was good. It wasn't anything special. But I found that as I got older and older and I started having these health problems, my digestion changed. So I kind of had to adapt a little bit. I noticed that I was getting some fatigue after just eating meals, right? And so I didn't realize why I would sometimes get tired, demotivated. I'm talking about when I'm like 28, 29, 30. Things in my body changed. And so I couldn't eat wheat anymore. I couldn't eat grains. Whereas before I could eat whatever I wanted. I could eat all the bread I wanted. And so I had to adapt. But a lot of information in America doesn't teach about that, right? A lot of information in America only teaches about basic level stuff, like calories. They don't teach about deep intricacies of food and digestion and your gut microbiome. And so I had to start learning about the gut microbiome. I stopped eating grains, I stopped eating wheat. I started learning the yogic approach to diet. I experimented with vegetarianism because my digestion wasn't really handling meat that well. And it got me some results. It really got me some results. But at the same time, I wanted more influence. I was working with private clients. I was working with a lot of rich people, a lot of very rich people. And I was making decent money doing my health coaching and doing my body work. But I wanted to have an even bigger impact on people's health. I wanted to be able to transform people's health. And I realized I have to understand how to transform my own health. I didn't always feel vital. I had digestive issues sometimes. I didn't understand the toxins that I was eating in my food. I didn't understand my gut health and how that impacted my mentality. And I really didn't understand the mind and the emotions and how that impacts your health. Stress, how often was I feeling stressed? How often did I have positive emotion? And so that's what I got really, really curious about. I wanted to be able to be confident. I wanted to be able to speak a message with energy, conviction, vitality. But I would always feel this nagging feeling of anxiety. Same thing with dating. I wasn't really the most social guy. I wouldn't go out and I wouldn't really talk to the women who I was interested in. And so I kind of realized my subconscious mind was controlling me. Negative emotions, anxiety. And it would always show up in my body. It would always show up in my anxiety whenever I even thought about it. And I couldn't control it. So I had to understand the subconscious mind. I realized this low-grade anxiety is keeping me back from living the life that I want. I have to understand the subconscious mind so that I don't stress myself out. Whenever I try to step out and accomplish different goals, I feel like my anxiety would just change my state, change my body, prevent me from doing it, control me. And so that's when I really got into yoga. I really got into the subconscious mind. I really wanted to understand, why am I so triggered? Why do I feel so stuck in my personality? Why do I feel so limited and controlled by these subconscious reactions, my emotions, my tics that control my communication, that control my vitality, that control my inner energy, really. And you can kind of just sense it in people. It's based on their complex inner workings, right? So I realized I wanted to understand the subconscious. I wanted to understand emotions. I wanted to understand stress. And so that led me to studying yoga so diligently with Sadhguru and Isha Foundation. And I actually ended up going to the ashram, right? So I went to a program, a live-in residential program at the ashram in India. And it was for 3 months. And that was my quest, because I realized if I don't change, if I don't make a big change, I'm not going to be able to escape my negative habits, my social isolation, my limitations. I'm not going after my dreams and, quitting my job and starting a new business. I wanted to be a health coach. I wanted to have a message. I wanted to break free from my personality. I wanted to hold seminars. I wanted to be a yoga teacher. But I was just stuck doing my one-on-one sessions because I had these limitations. And it made me feel frustrated. And it made me feel like, whenever I would not pursue my goals and just stay home and just, do the easy way out, play video games, watch series, and just meditate by myself, it would just make me feel like I'm failing. I didn't have the social group. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have what I needed to have to succeed. And I wasn't going out. I wasn't dating. I wasn't talking to girls. I felt shy, and I even made excuses in my mind, like, I'm just going to be a yogi. I'm just going to be a monk. I'm just going to meditate and read. That's the important thing. And so even my subconscious mind was having me make excuses in my head, justifying why I'm not going after my goals. And I realized this, and I said, I got some bad habits, limiting habits. Bad habits are not just in your body. They're in your brain, how you think. That's the real bad habit. That's actually where they all come from. And so I wanted to change myself. I wanted to transform. I really didn't want to keep on staying in these patterns. I wanted to understand how to break through these patterns. I didn't want to keep on overeating and just watching literally Game of Thrones. I would come home and I just eat for like 2 hours, watch Game of Thrones. And that went on for years. It's no wonder, your body starts to change, you start gaining weight, you start building inertia. It's the opposite of momentum, inertia. And I knew if I didn't do something big, I'd just stay in the same rut. It's been happening for 5 years. I wasn't able to break out of it. I wasn't dating. I wasn't networking. I wasn't changing my career. I was just, saving money, doing the same thing. And I just thought, if I just keep on doing this the rest of my life, how am I going to feel about my life? I didn't want to just spend another 5-10 years doing the same thing. It's not like a miserable life, right? But you just settle for average. You just settle for like, it's good. You don't feel like a failure. But I didn't want that. I didn't want just the same thing. I didn't want to be stuck in my same limitations. What does it take for me to actually go beyond my limitations? That's what I wanted to know. I didn't want to look back on my life and just feel like I never took the risk. I never went all out. I just kind of played it safe. I would rather just be a complete failure than just play it safe, live an average life. At least I want to be able to say I really went for it. I really risked it all. I wanted to have stories. I wanted to really go for broke. And that's why I went to India. I was feeling limited in my energy, my vitality, stuck in the box of my own personality and limitations. So I had to go. And I sold everything. People thought I was crazy. I sold everything, my car, all my possessions. All I had was a suitcase with a couple of books, my clothes, hardly any clothes. Flew over to India. You're joining a cult. You're leaving behind your clients. You're leaving behind this career that you built. I didn't care. All of it just meant more stuck, limiting life. I didn't care. I was willing to be a monk for the rest of my life if that's what it took. I wanted to change. I didn't want to keep on this low-grade life of feeling dissatisfaction, limitation, shyness, feeling stifled. I couldn't stand it. To think that I would never face my fears and try to overcome and try something new. You know, I wanted to be somebody with a voice, somebody that can inspire, somebody that can reach, somebody that felt like inspired about life, somebody who felt like, wow, that guy's got like the spirit of God in him. Not in a religious way, but like that guy is really eating up life. That guy is really like on his passion. That guy really cares about what he's doing. And that guy inspires me. I want to be like my heroes, man. I want to be like Jim Quick. I want to be like Sadhguru. I want to be like Napoleon Hill. I want to be these guys that were just like wise. How do you get wisdom? How do you live a life that's profound and worth living? How do you actually become integrated and mature? How do you become powerful? How do you become vital? You see these guys, there's something vital about them. Their brain, their intellect, their influence. Just beautiful people. And so, I learned a lot going to India. I really did. It broke me out of so many of the same patterns. You know, not only did I want to understand how to break the physical habits and the physical patterns of my life, I wanted to understand how to break the deeper psychological patterns, the insecurities, the limitations, the assumptions about myself. So waking up at 4:30 in the morning, 2 hours of meditation and yoga, specific practices crafted by the guru, Sadhguru. Working all day, either in the field or in the kitchen, completely different life. Couldn't think about money, couldn't think about success, always just thinking about the whole, always just thinking about how you're reacting, how much can you enjoy this moment, how much can you enjoy the process of just living versus projecting out and thinking like, what am I gonna become? What will it all become? Will I be successful? Completely different mindset. Completely different mindset. Just taking the long-term view on things. And I'm telling you, I would have stayed there. I would have become a monk, but something unexpected happened. You know, I was living this monk life. I'd say a good 9 weeks passed. Meeting all different people from all over the world, you know, being surrounded by mountains, all these different temples, chanting, strange, very strange temples, statues, walking around all day long. The campus was gigantic. You know, if you were gonna walk from one side of the campus to another, it would take you a good, oh my God, it would take you an hour at least. I mean, that place is massive in India. Isha Yoga Center. If you like yoga, you really have to give yourself that gift to go visit there. And all kinds of weird things happening, all kinds of strange rituals and spiritual processes. I would have stayed there. I would have really stayed there my whole life if I didn't get sick. I got so sick. It was a gradual thing, but I got so sick I couldn't stay. I couldn't eat. My digestion was getting worse. And every single day, I just kind of started feeling like I was reverting back to my American self. I was thinking, I'm feeling low energy again. I'm feeling kind of like irritable again. What's going on? Like I'm feeling to myself and shy. I'm not feeling expansive anymore. Kind of feeling like grumpy. What's going on? I came all the way to India. Like I was frustrated. Like what's going on? How is this possible? Like everything that I've done, and I'm still feeling the same stifledness, the same like shyness, the same like low energy, the same low level of vitality, the same unwillingness. You wake up in the morning and you just feel like, come on. It's just sick. You just feel sick. I didn't realize it was the water. I didn't realize, a lot of Americans can't handle the bacteria in the water over there. A lot of Americans were like boiling their water in a kettle before they drink it. Well, I realized too late. One night, I literally felt like I was dying. Just horrible stomach pain. I was lying there in the temple. We didn't have individual rooms. We slept on these mattresses. Of course, we had like an overhang, but it was an open temple. And I was just rolling around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Everyone's waking up to do their yoga. I'm feeling like I'm puking. I had diarrhea. I thought I had cholera. Probably did. So I got rushed to the infirmary. They put me in isolation. They thought maybe I had COVID. This is like 2021. I don't get really that much better. It's just miserable. And so I hang in there as long as I can, but I have to come home. I end up flying home. It just felt like a complete failure. Just felt like, was it all for naught? Now I'm sick. I lost like 20 pounds. I was like a skinny little stick. Just living at home with my parents. I'm thinking, what do I do now? Like, do I just go back to my old life? I felt so disillusioned, disappointed, disoriented. My gut health was horrible because I had to take an antibiotic. And I was just thinking, man, life can be so weird. Like, is this life? Like, how is life so vicious? It's so unforgiving. It's so challenging sometimes. I'm just trying to become a better person. Why am I getting so slammed with challenges? I felt like Satan himself was coming against me. I didn't get it. And I didn't know what to do. All I knew is that I had to work on my health. I had to heal. I had to keep on going. It was so hard. Because my mind was against me. My mind was working against me. My second brain was working against me. So I had to learn so much about gut health. I had to learn so much about nutrition. I had to learn so much about rewiring my brain out of the negativity again. Remember, this is not the first time. I had to pick myself out of the dust, my body and my brain again. I had to learn so many times in life. It's not just about your body. It's not just about sets and reps and keto and carbs and macros and how many push-ups you can do and your strength level. No, health and vitality is so far beyond that. It's so much more of an integrated approach. How you feel about your life, who you are as a person, what you're constantly thinking, what you're constantly feeling, what's your constant state of stress and emotion. Do you feel like you're contributing? Do you feel like you have a mission? Do you feel like you're reaching out to help people? Do you feel like you have an important cause in your life? All these things people don't focus about in health and wellness, even though this is what scientists found when they look at the blue zones. What makes somebody live a long, happy life? You should read that book, The Blue Zones. They talk about life purpose. They talk about social interaction in the community. They talk about if you have some kind of spiritual outlook on life, like you feel like there's a reason, there's a purpose, there's a mission, there's a cause that you're a part of something bigger. Of course they talked about like if they're eating plant-based diet, if they walk around enough, but at least half of the reasons of why someone's living a long, healthy life was more psychosocial. Your mind and your relationship to people. Of course. If you have good relationships in your life, they found the more relationships you have in your life, 10 years or more, long-term social relationships, increase in happiness, increase in health, increase in vitality. So are we nurturing those? Are we living a proper life? Or are we just focusing on superficial externalities? Like these things are important, right? We have to talk about sunlight. We have to talk about hydration. We have to talk about nutrition, right? But if we're focusing on those things without focusing on the real deal of what it means to be a human, to be an integrated human, and we're neglecting to talk about stress and emotionality and how to handle moving through life and all of its challenges, how to adapt to all of life's different challenges, how to adapt to all the relationship challenges that you're going to have, the career challenges, the adaptation challenges. You're moving, you feel stuck. Emotional intelligence, understanding how to get yourself to act, how to get yourself to change your habits, how to have self-control. People are so stuck because we haven't talked about this kind of stuff. And I felt the same way. I felt completely beaten down and stuck so many times because I lost my health and vitality, and I had to rebuild it from the inside. I had to rebuild it from the inside, because once I started combining both mind, body, medicine, everything changed. I didn't just focus on my body. I didn't only focus on my mind. I focused on my gut health. I focused on my stress levels, my associations, how I thought about life, how I strategically set up my life. And once I started doing those things, everything started to come automatically. I started thinking right, feeling better, fixing my gut health after I came back from India. And automatically, it changes your hormones, changing your mind, how much fun you're having during the day, how positive you are, how little negative emotions you have. That changes your hormones. That can increase your testosterone. That can increase your brain neurotransmitters. That decreases the cortisol that makes you have fat, And so I changed my hormones, and everything started to work. It took a couple months. I had to read a lot. I had to read a lot about Dr. William Davis, Change Your Microbiome, Change Your Gut Health. Once I learned that, made it easier to be positive. Started learning more about NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy, reframing my stories I told myself, changing my subconscious mind, using the Silva method meditation, active meditation, restructure my self-image, restructure the associations I have in my life, restructure, stop torturing myself with all the associations, like, oh, my life is this or that, or like, oh, I'm just like, I feel like I'm just shy, I feel like I'm just like a failure, oh, I don't like having to do the dishes, oh, it's so annoying when I have to clean my room. It's so stupid, all the negative associations, but that's the mind creating stress, that's the mind creating unwillingness, and it's stress. What about instead investing in yourself so that your brain can create excitement, enthusiasm, positivity, curiosity. You're enjoying all these things again. That's what I had to do. See, when you're in this negative state, your associations get all messed up. You start seeing things from a very poor perspective. It's unfortunate. But you can rewire yourself. That's what I had to do. You can rewire and reprogram yourself. There's tools to rewire your brain, to rewire your body. Okay? And that's how I did it. That's how I came out of my ugly. I came out of my pain. I came out of my suffering. I had to really search deep for it, though. I spent a lot of time just wallowing, just like decaying, as I didn't understand these things. It took me a long time to understand how to actually rewire myself. I would worry all the time. I would get down on myself so much. I wasn't a good friend to myself. I had to really dig deep, especially if you don't have a social life, mentors, friends, the positivity in your life, especially if you're unemployed. Life can get weird sometimes, especially if you lost your health in some way. These dragons that come against you, they make it even harder. It's like you're trying to climb a mountain with a 100-pound backpack. Don't give up. You can find a way. Once you find the tools, it's not as hard as you think. Once you find the right tools, it's not as hard as you think. It's like you're trying to build this castle. You think it's impossible because you're laying one brick at a time. You just feel like you're never going to get there. Once you get the technology, once you get the cranes, once you get the wheelbarrows, it's like you have a machine gun that's just like spitting out bricks. Da, 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 da. And you think, oh my God, I thought this was going to be so hard. It's not as hard as you think. You just change the machine and you change the job, okay? So that's what we're talking about. We're changing the machine and we change the difficulty of the job. You know, you change your mind, you change your hormones, you change the difficulty of the job because your vitality comes back when you change your mind, your stress, your hormones, when you change your second brain, your microbiome. Fitness and health should be elementary. Fitness and health shouldn't be advanced PhD topic. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be difficult. You just learn the 101. That's what I'm here for. Teach you the 101 that got me out of my dark hole. You know, you feel like you're in that dark place like Batman Begins, or when Bane beats the crap out of him, leaves him in that dark hole, just broken, alone, scared, dark. Sometimes you might feel like that in life. Can you get the strength to pull yourself out? Can you get the strength to take one more step, even if you don't see any light at the end of that tunnel? Can you take yourself one more step? Because if you do, you're going to be in a better place than you were yesterday. You have to keep moving. You have to keep hoping. You have to keep learning. Watch all of my stuff. Watch all of my content. I talk about all of this stuff. The biohacking, the brain hacking, the health hacking. You can pick yourself up. You can overcome the beatdown that life gives you. You can overcome those dragons. You can overcome the bane that try to beat you down. You can pick yourself back up. And like Alfred said, why do we fall down, young master? So we can learn how to pick ourselves back up. And when you learn how to pick yourself back up, you transform. You purify all the dross from your gold. It's like you went through a furnace, and that scorching hellfire, it hurt so much you didn't understand it, but you realize after you come out of it, it was purifying me. And you come out shining, and you realize, I want to do that again. I want to purify myself more and more and more. So you seek out the challenge, and you realize the purpose in your pain. And you realize it was good for you. What you're going through, your pain, your suffering, isn't in vain. It's to make you a phoenix. It's to make you a golden shining figure. And then when you're stronger, you'll realize, those hellfires, it was like a sauna. Now you can actually withstand that same heat, and it just feels nice. It's like a little sauna. It's like a little summer day, and you seek out more and more heat to purify you, more and more hell. You step more and more into challenge to take other people out of hell, right? A lot of people suffering nowadays. You can make your pain your purpose, your suffering your message, okay? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's not as hard as you think, okay? You can find the right tools. You can find the right things that will help you overcome. And you can become vital. No matter how hurt, weak, pathetic you feel like you are right now, believe me. Just start taking that next step. You'll be amazed where you can go. You'll find tools and mentors. You'll find inspiration. You'll find the things that you need. You'll be surprised the resilience that you have as a person. The human spirit has such resilience and power to heal. You know, you look at the people that went through the Holocaust, Elie Wiesel. You look at Man's Search for Meaning. You look at what happened to the people. They can go through extremely traumatic events and come out for the better. You know, the world, the universe, God, it has a reason for putting us through pain and suffering. I had to meditate so much on pain and suffering, so much on the weakness and the cruelty that life can put you through. But in the end, there's a reason. And everybody has to go through that and understand there's a reason to the tragedies, the seeming pain, the seeming death, the seeming darkness. There's a reason. It's good to be there. It's good to extract the lessons while you're there. Don't resist it. Don't resist the pain, don't resist the suffering. You're always looking for the solution, but while you're in the pain, while you're in the suffering, don't resist it. Meditate on it. It's inevitable, isn't it? Whether you resist it, whether you sit there with it, it's still going to be there. You don't have to turn the pain into suffering by resisting it, okay? If it's inevitable, extract the lesson, become friends with it, integrate your shadow, integrate the dark side, the part of life you never wanted to look at, but it's real. You never wanted to think about death, you never wanted to think about pain and suffering, you never wanted to think about the potential that you might actually be very weak. Never wanted to think about that. But if it's a reality, that is a reality sometimes in life. Death is a reality, pain and suffering is a reality. You meditate on it, you integrate it, you'll come out stronger. You don't hide from it. You don't fight it. You don't rail against it. This is not right. I shouldn't be like this. This is not fair. Doesn't help you. Doesn't help you. Complaining, blaming. It's gremlin behavior. It doesn't help you. I understand you if you're there. Sometimes you have to go through that too. Sometimes you have to go through that too. All the negativity, the darkness, the hatred that you might have for your life, for the world, for the fact that there's such suffering in the world. You might have to go through that. But just realize, don't worry too much. Don't feel too much like you're in hell. Realize, extreme pleasure and success is temporary, but so is extreme suffering and pain, okay? It's a learning experience. You can learn from it, okay? It's not the end of the world. You'll get out of it. You will get out of it. This is what I have to deal with. You'll be sleeping, you'll just hear this extremely loud, somebody's punching a dumpster with like a Megatron is punching a dumpster. This is what you get living in the city. That's what you get living in the city. Anyways, that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm gonna eat breakfast, and I'll leave you with this. You can learn from anything in life. Life is gonna get good sometimes it's gonna be really ugly, sometimes it's gonna be average. You can learn from every single phase that's going through in your life. Just learn. Just learn. Just learn to meditate. Just learn to contemplate. Just learn to be there with it, okay? That's what I learned. That's the Stoic way. Take the opportunity. Don't push it down. Don't suppress. Be with it, and don't worry too much, okay? Use it to learn. Even Stephen Hawking, even Helen Keller, people who are literally physically handicapped, you know what they did? They took it and they used the sliver of opportunity it gave them. Even if you can only do limited things, you can still do it in a great way. Even if you're so limited, you can still do things in a great way. Leave you with this. Napoleon Hill, young man, craving success, craving power, craving money and influence, felt discouraged one day. Outside in the city, slumped down, sat down, just felt like, man, can I get a break? Just kind of like complaining in his own mind, feeling despondent. And then he sees, these boys shining shoes. And there's an older guy shining shoes, and he doesn't have legs. He doesn't have any legs. This guy has stumps where his legs are supposed to be. And he's kind of crawling around, kind of like a Geodude. And he comes up to Napoleon and says, "Hello, sir, can I shine your shoes today?" Napoleon just says, go ahead. And the guy is just talking to him, joking around, just talking about how good the day is, how beautiful the city is. And Napoleon he felt his heart just get like squeezed. He just felt, what am I doing? Look at this guy. He doesn't have legs. And this guy's coming up to me and cheering me up. This guy's got a positive mental attitude, PMA. What did Napoleon Hill say is the secret to all success? PMA. He learned that day from that boy, even if you can't do great things, what you do with yourself matters. What you do and how you do it matters. No matter where you are in life, you can have an impact, you can have an influence. That guy with no legs influenced the great Napoleon Hill because he didn't wallow. He took what he could do and he did it. And he did it greatly. He shined shoes greatly. He kept his mind pure. He kept his mind strong. And that guy's in the history books now. That guy didn't complain and say, it's not fair, I hate life, I'm just gonna curse the world. No. Look at the beauty of that man's soul. You know, the beauty of that man's soul is shining so bright. It ignited Napoleon Hill. And now he writes about him. It's like the widow, it's like the woman in the Bible who took a year's salary and anointed Jesus' feet. That's what that guy did. He took such a beautiful, valuable sentiment that was him. That's what he did. He made his life into that perfume. And that's why we're talking about him still today. He is a hero. You know, you feel like you got a handicap, you got a weakness, you got some pain and suffering, remember that man. It's a great man. Life's never over. There's always hope. Whether you're in a wheelchair like Hawking, blind, deaf, and dumb like Helen, lost both your legs like that man, do little things in a great way. Keep your mind strong and inspired and just see what happens, because it's not just about external success, it's about who we become. And that's how you get vitality. I'll talk to you soon.